Let's see. Dula's busy with a project, Danny is going through maul molting, and every other creature I want to ask is afraid of me. Downsides to being secluded in a cave. I wonder if— Holy fur! Vulcan, we've talked about teleporting in Lego. Hey, that gut's smelling a little bad. You want me to fix it up, bud? Ah, right. The Corinne quiet issue. Bad anxiety making you quiet again, huh? Well, we can work with that, bud. Alright, you want me to blip, fix it, or blip, blip, leave it? Yeah, that does look pretty bad. Okay, blip potion, or blip, blip for paste? Hey, my potions aren't that bad tasting. Okay, maybe they are a little bitter. Right, one special medical herb paste coming right up. There we go, all done. Just take it easy for a few days and we'll be good. If you'd like, I actually love some help with something if you've got it. Blip for you'll help, and blip blip for no. Great! So, you see, I was going to make a video about how Percy Jackson is, in my opinion, better than Harry Potter. I mean, I know as of late the two series are compared to each other a lot, and this may seem repetitive to others, but I do these videos because I want to have fun, and I want to give it a try. So in this case, I thought it would be fun looking at less why one series is better than the other, and why one series is more well known than the other if one is better quality than the other. Only issue is, I haven't been able to start doing a full dive into Harry Potter, and I would really love if someone well-versed and passionate about the book series could tell me how it is—
A complete waste of that has an ego as large as the fucking ocean. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was brilliant, but I also thought that hugging a jellyfish would be a pleasurable experience, and both of those with my mental health now, didn't they? Dobby, the fucking Glock elf, is the only person I deem worthy enough to write these books, because just like my respect for the author at this point, thank you, Twitter, it's the only thing I think can do suitable enough, because he's fucking imaginary.
Well, I think I found my collab partner. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wolf Tales, where literature runs wild. Or for this month, we'll be going toe-to-toe in a face-off. This month, we'll be looking at the longtime favorites of many, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series and Dobby the Glock Elf's Harry Potter series.
Shouldn't we say it's at least by, you know...
One, it's not like she's gonna see this video, so I don't care. Two, if she doesn't care about my boyfriend's rights, then why should I care about her rights to be called an author?
Fair enough.
Anyway, this video was admittedly going to be a solo one for me, considering the last 2 months were collabs, but I decided to let my longtime friend Vulcan tag along because, as he put it,
despite the author's, well, everything, just having a Canadian review Harry Potter feels like an affront to my culture. Literally, it goes against the Queen's final decree. The British people must always be a part of every British property review or face the consequences.
Only queen I know is Queen Chrysalis, and I don't think you want her around here. Her changeling, on the other hand, are adorable.
Hey, that's biased considering who you're lip-locking.
My cave, my rules, Shy Guy.
But I'm not being the wolf queen of tangents right now.
Yeah. Regardless, Vulcan and I here gathered every resource we could and pooled it together on both series. With me taking the Percy side of things,
and I with the Harry Potter sides. And we would like to disclaim that this is not based on the authors themselves, but the book series as a whole. If we were, though, I don't think I need to say that Rick wins by default. So, with that said, video over. Good night, and hope you had a great time, and see you next time you want to run with the pack.
Hey!
Alright.
Why did you have to learn that darkness spell?
My magic, my rules.
Well played! As Vulcan said, if opinions on authors are coming into play, Rick would win in a heartbeat, but that isn't the case here. Here, we are looking at, as I said, less at why the books are better, and more why one series is more well known than the other.
Why the book series with better representation, care, lore, and love is practically hidden by the mist, while Harry Potter is held up and praised like a god.
So Vulcan and I both read, researched, and made tons of notes examining the events that led up to the book's release, and noticed something massive in our research. Something we had actually overlooked for a long time. And now, 1 month later, we're here to bring our findings to you. But first, a quick note.
To be clear, we do not stand by Raldemort or her views. We do not encourage people to support her work, and that we are only looking at it now to help with this video. Also, for Potter fans, be prepared for us to not hold back on a lot of things in this video, and as a certified Hufflepuff, I can safely say after reading all 7 books 3 times for this video, I'd safely know what I'm talking about, so you're just gonna have to sit back and listen to the honest truth ride.
As well, these are just our opinions, from why we think one book is better than the other, why one is more well known than the other, and what we dislike about each of the books. If you disagree with us, that's okay, but we still hope you enjoy the video. So, for now, let's dive into these books like a child of Athena, and let's get started by looking over our 2 series in questions. Starting off with this side of the world's hero, rising from the depths of the ocean and having a whopping 10 main books as the hero and a plethora of other side ones under his belt, the holder of Riptide, the boy who held up the sky, the hero of Olympus himself, Percy Jackson! Born in New York to Sally Jackson, Percy has had to face gods and titans to get where he is today, and he still keeps on kicking. Whether he's with the other big 7 or on his own tail, the son of Poseidon will always be there to fight for what he believes in. With the power to manipulate water, navigate the world, and communicate with all sea life, this young demigod is about to drown some lightning-scarred hero's rear. Now let's hear from our challenger. Take it away, Vulcan!
And coming from the other side of the world, you know him, you love him. He's not had a great history recently and been quiet for a long time, but he's on his way back. It is the one, the only, the 7 book standing, Harry Potter! Standing, striking with a powerful capabilities, incredible difficulty, and ultimately defeating of a Dark Lord of incredible renown, beating an intense capability of Death Eaters, destroying a very tyrannical government, standing up for that, what he believes in, even if he's a bit of a but you love him, you like him, he's been here the whole time, he's had a better film series, and he's going on strong!
Heck yeah! Let's get this literary knockdown going!
Oh, trust me. Percy Jackson may win in literary quality, but in a real fight, Harry dominates.
Oh yeah? Name one thing Harry could do that Percy couldn't obliterate.
2 words. Avada Kedavra.
Well, if you want to take the fun out of the showdown, then okay, Mr. Party Pooper, fang's sake.
Well, I consider it patriotic, as I'm just doing what my story's writer did with her final fight. One simple Avada Kedavra rebound, and boom, big bad all gone in one big puff of annoying smoke.
Fair, but I think the Avada Kedavra point is the first big finding we found in our research, actually. The simplicity of Harry Potter's writing compared to the complexity of Percy Jackson's writing. Now, when I say complexity, I don't mean the difficulty in reading the text, but how well organized and rich the story is. Characters go through incredible changes and have believable flaws, such as the struggle Sally has to protect Percy from monsters, or the struggle Nico has with his own flaw of holding grudges and resentment. These aspects help them interact with the different characters in the world around them really well, and make it feel like we're reading about real characters and not fake characters put up for us. It also helps that Riordan evolves as an author over time, and just as his world expands to make more complex and intricate notes, so does his characters evolve to have more representation for people of color, gender, sexuality, backgrounds, disabilities, and more. As for lore and style, both increase dramatically in quality as the series progresses, though they're pretty good at the start as well. From the well-thought-out explanation of the mechanics of the world, like how the mist hides magical beings from the mortal beings, to the style of writing that opens up to multiple people telling the tale throughout Series 2 and beyond, Percy Jackson is an incredible series that I'm happy to go over time and time again. Though the same cannot be said for another hero who's connected to a lightning bolt. Eh, Vulcan?
How dare! That's a character-defining scar, Starling! But you're right. Harry Potter's world is pure fantasy in every sense of the word. The world is fanciful and fantastic, but it lacks depth and clarity. of so many things that can ground it into being a better story. For example, how do magical creatures like trolls and giants come to exist in the world naturally, and what do they offer the world's circle of life? Government organizations exist to promote the secrecy and control of the magical world, like the Ministry of Magic, which is then led by a Minister for Magic, but we have no idea how the government actually works, and how the enforcement or decrees made by either the minister or any other politicians that we never see. This problem mainly comes from two issues: the story's narrative focus and Voldemort's need for satirizing allegory. We only see the story from Harry's limited human/muggle perspective, and as a result it means the depths and details of running the magical world are not at the focus of Harry's story, and therefore our understanding. The other issue is that Voldemort makes sarcastic allegories to real-world things. The Ministry of Magic at first is an over-the-top version of the British government. The Daily Prophet and its reporters' need to twist and manipulate the truth for stories is another allegory for the British newspaper of the Daily Mirror. Now, while this can be funny and interesting things to base a story on, it limits and complexes the world that needs it. Suddenly, because you've satirized a government and newspapers, suddenly your world now has government and newspapers with no context or explanation other than, well, our world has one, so why not theirs? Which is lazy world building. And that kind of fanciful aspect drags down the story by having characters and elements desperately explain and delve into everything that helped define and develop them. There's a reason Order of the Phoenix is 750 pages long, and most of it is world building for said Ministry of Magic, and it drags down the story. I could be here for much longer, but we'd be going on for a eternity.
Oh, how about the act she apparently makes Harry Potter's horrible father the good guy? Voldemort barely talks about Dumbledore being gay. Or how about the implication of the wizards siding with their version of wizard
We do not bring up the cursed child or the crimes of Grindelwald in this cave.
Fair enough, though this is my cave system, not yours. All in all, despite the clear landslide difference in quality and heart, Harry Potter is the crown of literature for many, while Percy Jackson is just a footnote. And for many of us, we were stumped as to why that is. Why was Harry Potter doing 1,000 times better popularity-wise than Percy Jackson? So, Vulcan and I decided to start our research in the most obvious spot we could, and look at the book's timing.
When we examined the time the first book was released, there were a total of 3 major competitors the book faced that year. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince book that came out 2 weeks after The Lightning Thief, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix that came out the November of that year, and even the Beast that made the Grey series Twilight. All 4 works were found to have a major shift in audience interest as Harry Potter was beginning to end the current trend of magical hidden worlds, and leading into Twilight's trend of vampire craze.
But that reason just seemed too simple, as even after Harry Potter ended in 2007 and Twilight in 2008, Percy Jackson was still releasing books in the 3 main series, The Olympians, The Heroes of Olympus, and The Trials of Apollo, and still was not getting a lot of attention. Heck, even the books that branched out like the Cain and Magnus books, people still had no idea who Percy Jackson was. So it didn't look like the timing of the release of the books was an issue. So the next logical place to look was the cinematic or adaptation side, where we needed to look at the horrifyingly and disturbing nugget that was the Percy Jackson movies.
As stated before, these movies are bad. Like, really, really bad. So bad, in fact, the author even said, and I quote, "I still have not seen the movies and I don't plan on ever doing so. I judge them from having read the scripts because I care most about the story. I certainly have nothing against the talented actors, not their fault. I'm just sorry they got dragged into that mess." Fans who saw it were furious, and average movie watchers like myself thought it was average or worst of all, a true depiction of the series. I honestly thought Percy Jackson was a murderer at one point. But with how bad the movie was, some could argue that it was what caused people to turn away from the book series. But I'm guessing from how you saw the last point, it's not that simple.
Percy Jackson, yes, had a horrible adaptation. but it wasn't into the depths of Tartarus unfixable. Despite the disgustingly horrible inaccuracies that the movie showed, there was at least some interest that people wanted to see a better version of it, and years later in 2014 and 2017 started a new musical about it that toured in 2019. The musical seemed to explode enough interest from fans and Disney itself to make a show on Disney+. So if the movie really did turn people away from the series for good, why would more people want to see the musical and new show if they had little to no interest in it?
Heck, we even thought that maybe it was the actions of the author that turned people away, but that wasn't really the case either. Rick Riordan, though at times making mistakes with his representation and certain stereotypes he puts in his works, does work hard each book and series to improve and make up for it. Heck, if anything, news we found on the guy was either pretty tame or quiet and honestly wholesome. So boom goes another proverbial theory out the door. So if timing, adaptations, and the author himself isn't causing the issue with the knowledge of the book series, then what is? That question plagued us for ages, searching for some proverbial golden nugget answer buried deep in knowledge and information. But then, at the end of everything, something clicked. Something clicked when examining the works that put every piece into place.
The one thing we had overlooked before that we were now coming back to and realizing it might be the answer is the writing style. And before anyone gets upset, it's not that the style is bad. It's a grand, informative, and info-packed storytelling method. And that is both the book's blessing and curse.
Remember how I explained that Harry Potter had a very simple style? Well, that simple style, for the most part, the audience doesn't need to research into the lore or the depths of the world before they start reading. They can jump in and understand pretty quickly what a troll or a unicorn or a dragon looks like without seriously looking into the context or details and how they work within the world around them. Heck, looking at another series like Twilight, you can easily understand the basic concept of what a vampire is or what a werewolf is, and any changes, however strange, are still easy to piece together, like diamond glittering skin. This simple style is what urban fantasy thrives in, and most lovers of the genre look for works with simple setups, and things you can easily plug your fantasy brain into. This unfortunately cannot be said for the gigantic Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson's story is not just a tale to enjoy, but a lesson one could hear in a classroom. See, each book of Percy Jackson, the Kane Chronicles, and Magnus Chase have a wide range of topics to cover over and bring into the modern era. These topics can include the gods, their roles, well-known and obscure myths, the heroes and tasks and customs that are in the society that they're all connected to. If the reader knows a lot about these myths and cultures when they read the book, they can love it, or they can get stuck when they have to keep reading through build-up just to reveal a simple answer. See, to help readers who may not understand most of the topics, Riordan often has to stretch out scenes to explain to the audience what's going on. This isn't a bad thing, but as I said, people who already know this myth may be very bored as they have to keep reading up to build up to an answer they could have guessed at the very first sign. For me, I do love mythology, and I had this happen a few times when it came to Auntie M's Garden Emporium and Medea's department store. The style, as I said, is wonderful, but as the book does target people who are fans of mythology and people who just like to dabble into it, it's hard to balance out the two groups. So, while the style may help people who may just be starting to understand the mythologies or have no idea what's going on, it can deter the average reader who may feel this is too much, or the more mythology-heavy reader who may feel a little bored having to read all this build-up and put the book down early.
And on the flip side, for those who may need long descriptions to pick up on what's going on, it's as Starling said, I feel like I'm in a mythological classroom. Not only do I have to research the original myth and the beings connected to them, but I also have to process what's currently happening in the story to fully grasp the impact of these tales. But for an audience member who just wants to dive into the story, plug their brain in and relax, this isn't going to be the case as they're trying to absorb all this information and the actual context of the story itself. It's like the play Hamilton. For as wonderful as the musical was for those who know the history, they can just dive in and enjoy the play for how it is. However, for those of us like handsome British individual Kirans in the room, who don't know the history or the context, it takes quite a few times of listening and researching to fully experience all the musical has to offer. But while Hamilton has a gorgeous visual and audio aid to help process the information, Percy Jackson is a written book that can make some people feel like they're reading a mythological textbook with how dense it can get. Heck, even a multi-work series like Warrior Cats has a semi-simple lore for the first 3 series before it all goes to and I have yet to deeply dive into that series for a reason, you know. But even then, most know what a cat is and generally what a feral cat's life would be like in the wild. So the unfortunate reality at the end of all this is that people disconnect from the Percy Jackson franchise, and as most readers feel like it's too gargantuan a task to take on their own. Some may read the first few chapters and want to turn away immediately, especially younger readers or readers who have learning disabilities like, ironically, dyslexia.
Which is a real shame because those who turn this tale away often miss out on wonderful LGBTQA+ characters, brilliant diversity and representations of people of color, a broad and well-rounded world, and a place where kids know it's okay to be different than the standardized normal. That even if you have ADHD, dyslexia, weird habits, or a draw to the gods and mythology, there's a place for you always to be welcomed in. And with many people feeling displaced after what happened to JK, I'm not surprised many are now seeing the inclusivity of the Percy Jackson series as a whole, including the Kane Chronicles and the Magnus Chase series, as more than welcoming.
A place where even the division of kids is less about fake personality traits that breeds resentment and echo chambers, to a world where campers may be divided by blood but united in duty, honor, and situation.
And so whether you're a fan of large myths, smaller myths, Greek or Roman, or everything in between, I think now is a perfect time, with things starting to return back to normal, to giving the son of Poseidon and his friends their dues and entering to the world of the demigods. And there you have it, our look at these 2 long-time contenders and finally giving recognition to the son of Poseidon at long last.
This was fun. Maybe we could look into a book series on something else? Or a dash of character analysis. Heck, what about looking into crossover books?
I'd love to, but I got my own Camp Half-Blood to worry about with a sanctuary to take care of. Think of me as the Chiron of the woods, huh?
I thought you'd be Mr. D with how tired you can get.
Oh, some days feel like it, but for now, let's wrap this up. This has been Silver Starling.
And Vulc In A Box.
See you next time you want to run with the pack.